Welcome back to the channel everyone, and today I'm going to be going over the storyline of Abigail, Misty, Bratton from the Call of Duty Zombie storyline. If you enjoy Call of Duty content, make sure to like and subscribe. I have done all the Black Ops maps from Black Ops 1 to Black Ops 4. In the future I am doing Cold War and Ghosts, and now moving on to the characters, separate individuals of what their backstory and storyline is. So if you're enjoying this series, make sure to check out the playlist in the description below and put a comment of what character you would like me to do next. And let's just get into this of the storyline of Abigail, Misty, Bratton. Let's go. Not much is known about Misty's past other than she used to live on a farm, because that's where I think the map farm comes from, because I think that they owned that farm. She used to work at a bar called the Boathouse, and her mother died of an unknown cause while her father was killed by zombies. At some point, she met Marlton Johnson, who she began to develop a crush on. The two fought against zombies in a town in Hanford until they were picked up by Russman and Samuel J. Stillinger on a bus. The four survivors were then contacted by Dr. Ludwig Maxus and were instructed to activate the pylon as part of his plan to deal with Edward Richtofen's forces of the undead. However, Stillinger started hearing Richtofen's voice in his head, telling him to activate the tower with his own methods for unknown purposes. After the device was activated, the group was teleported by Richtofen to a skyscraper in Shanghai, China. After witnessing Russman being killed by Jumping Jack, Misty, Marlton and Stillinger continued to defend themselves until they were killed as well. However, Richtofen would then rewind the events so that the group could carry out his tasks. Here, Maxus and Richtofen continued to give the four survivors instructions to activate another tower. After the task was done, the group travelled on foot towards Africa. They set up camp in the desert, planning what to do next. The day after, the survivors proceeded to the rift and ended up in an underground western town. Here, Maxus and Richtofen continued to give the survivors instructions to activate the third tower and warn them of the other plans. In the end, the allegiance shapes what happens to them next. If the player decides to follow Maxus' side of all three Easter eggs, Maxus will assume control of the zombies, give them orange eyes in the process, and will send Richtofen's soul into a single zombie which will have blue eyes. However, Maxus then reveals his true intentions of destroying the earth to reach Agartha, and informs the survivors that they will perish along the way. Misty, along with the others, is left to die while the earth is being destroyed. This is the canonical ending for the map. At some point, Misty and the others are transported to the surface and take refuge in an unknown city while out scavenging for supplies. The crew runs into swarms of zombies being led by undead Richtofen, whose identity is unknown to the group. To Misty's surprise, Richtofen somehow manages to dodge her shots. Stillinger, who continues to hear Primus Richtofen's voice instructing him, says it's the next step in evolution for the undead. The crew attempt to hold out but are eventually surrounded. Stillinger calls out to Richtofen for help and is greeted with a portal through which the group enters and escapes. They arrive at Broken Arrow facility in 1996, where Russman begins to have flashbacks of his past involvement. Undead Richtofen travels through the portal with the zombie horde and chases them down. As the group attempts to restore power, Russman remembers the biological experiments that remain within the area, which then appear and surround them. Misty is nearly killed by Russman as he goes on a wild killing spree. His memory flashing in and out, one of the results of experiment, nearly kills her when Russman regains sense and saves her. The group then retrieves the Element 115 shard and enters a new portal, summoned by Primus Richtofen. Richtofen secures the Victis crew in cyropods inside his lab underneath Alcatraz, for use later when he needs them. Sometime later, Victis is awakened by Ultimus Richtofen, who informs them of Dr. Monty and sends him to his old lab in Siberia. Richtofen proceeds to instruct the crew to build an Agarthan device as they fight off a horde of the undead. After gathering the Agarthan device and sending it to Primus Nikolai, Misty, along with the rest of Victis, was subsequently abandoned by Ultimus Richtofen and Primus Nikolai, who left them to die in the dark aether. And that is the storyline of Abigail Misty from the Black Ops storyline. Also, if you do the canon ending, then you get transported to the surface and they take refuge in a city. But if you do the non-canon ending, then the world is just crumbled. But that is the storyline. If you enjoyed today's video, then make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. And if you haven't checked out any of my videos, check out the playlist in the description below. But for now, I'm gonna go.